And welcome back to Hannity. Now, my next guest, our own Dr. Mark Siegel. He sat down with former Vice President Dick Cheney for an exclusive interview about his brand new book, Heart, An American Medical Odyssey, and his thoughts about Obamacare. And when we come back, we're going to talk about my heart. Here's a sneak peek.
You've always been known as the steadying hand in a crisis. You're the person that people want to go to when there's a crisis. But what effect did that have on you in terms of stress? And do you think that that led to your heart disease in any way?
I really don't. I know sort of the conventional wisdom is that a stressful job can contribute to heart disease, and I think that's true. But I love my work. It wasn't stressful from the way I looked at it. I couldn't wait to get back to that next job.
I love the scene in the book where you're out on the river. I think it's the Snake River with a vet who had has legs replaced, and you were there with a left ventricular assist device.
Right.
Could you tell us that story?
Yeah, I was living on batteries. I had to have power 24 hours a day because I had a pump attached to my heart that was keeping me alive. And I explained to him as we were getting to the boat that if I fell in, the system had shorted out and I was toast. He had artificial legs because he'd lost both legs as a Marine in Afghanistan. And he said, yeah, I know what you mean. When I fall in, my legs get rusty. So he was comparing problems.
You've always been the benefit of great medical technology just in time. The bypass, the stents, the implantable defibrillator that senses heart failure, the assist device, transplant. I'm concerned about the medical device tax of 2.3% on gross sales. How do you think that that's going to stifle innovation, or are you worried about it?
I'm very worried about it. I think it's a terrible idea. The people who invent those devices and produce them pay taxes like everybody else. But this is a unique tax that's going to be on the first dollar of revenue that comes in to the people who've invented and created these devices. When you start to tax something like that, it seems to me you do serious damage to the long-term prospects for innovation in our economy. And once the government gets its claws into some particular form of tax, it's an easy thing to do to come back and double it next time around because we want to do something else. And the argument being that, well, we're just taking it away from the guys that manufacture it. That's as bad as reducing the reimbursement rate for our doctors and hospitals under Medicare. You can't get people to provide health care if, in fact, they're going to lose money every time they do it. It doesn't work. So it strikes me that whoever came up with that idea, and I don't know, maybe I might even know the guy, I don't. But
it wasn't a physician, I'll tell you that.
It wasn't a physician, and it wasn't anybody who knows about the healthcare system. It's somebody who's trying to find an additional source of revenue to pay for Obamacare, which, frankly, I think we ought to get rid of.
About Obamacare itself and innovation, if the concept of Obamacare, which seems to me outdated, is to take this insurance umbrella and cover everyone, all this focus on preventive services, comprehensive insurance, what about innovation that doesn't necessarily work for everyone all the time? More personalized medicine, which is the direction we're going in. Isn't that jeopardized by the concept of Obamacare?
Well, I think a lot is jeopardized by the concept of Obamacare. They write a set of regulations about what you have to have a qualified insurance program. Well, a lot of people don't want that. You know, they're happy with something less. That ought to be their right. I don't like it when, frankly, a crowd that couldn't put together a website to say, well, they fixed the healthcare system. I don't believe it. And my guess is that as we go forward here, we'll find that there are a lot of train wrecks built into that program that nobody knew about. And if they had known about it, I don't think Congress would have ever passed it. I think if Obama had been truthful that you cannot keep your health insurance, there's no guarantee you can have the same doctor, I don't think Congress would have passed that.
Was there anything about writing the book, because you're known as a very professional person, this is a very revealing personal book, anything about that was difficult?
Well, there are things in there that I had not discussed publicly before we talked about the dream I had while I was heavily sedated after the LVAD was installed. Talked about the importance of family and what my family meant to me. My wife, Lynn, had to be my nurse literally every single day and learn everything there was about the care and feeding of a patient living on an LVAD. And I just decided, along with John and my wife, Lynn, that this is a story that needed to be told. It was an opportunity to tell a tale. There are 80 million Americans out there with some form of heart problem. I can look at an audience and say that 1 out of every 4 of them probably has some kind of heart problem or will. And so the book was written in the hopes that my case could be used to give them inspiration, to know what it's like to live with all that, but that you can live with it and succeed at the same time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. A great honor for me.
Well, enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Now.
And joining us now with exclusive details of that interview from the Fox News Medical A-Team, Dr. Mark Siegel. How are you?
Good.
Merry
Good
Christmas,
to see you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
Everything
Merry Christmas.
for you. I just had a thallium stress test, and I told you what all my numbers, and as clean as a whistle. My doctor says I'm not going to have a heart attack, but it's scary for those that do have heart disease.
But you know, Vice President Cheney is an inspiration for those people because he never even considered himself sick, Sean.
No.
He worked, everything he did, he told me, everything he did without even any fear at all, just courage, and that's an inspiration for the more than 700,000 people out there who have heart disease and get very, very sick every year.
No, it's true, and then a lot of people, why don't people get checked more? I mean, you're a friend, another doctor, a friend of mine, make me go get checked. You know, why don't people just do that? Because isn't that a lot cheaper than the alternative of getting sick and getting treatment?
Well, men don't tend to get checked. Men are the biggest problem. We just wear it on our sleeves. We don't go to see doctors. We really should. And the other killer here is stress. And Vice President Cheney said he didn't consider that he was under stress because he loved what he did. So everyone out there, love what you do, because if you love your work, you're going to do a lot.
People say to me all the time, I'm on the air 4 hours a day. Oh, that must be stressful. And I'm like, I don't even know what the word stress means, to be honest. I'm a carrier. I like to give stress to liberals.
Yeah, well, they're getting a lot of stress from you.
Yeah.
But you know something? You love what you do, and everybody out there knows it.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, speaking of that, he was absolutely eloquent on Obamacare here in this interview.
He was, very much. And you know what? He sees it for what it is. You see it for what it is.
Well, the medical device tax, he himself wouldn't be alive today if Obamacare was in place 10, 20 years ago, because every time the spotlight was red, it turned green just as he got there. He got all these devices just in time. Innovation may be squashed with the current Obamacare climate, and he personally is worried about it.
My next life, I want to be you. You're hanging out with Bush, you're hanging out with Cheney. You're living a good life.
You're invited on all these things.
Yeah,
you want to come bike riding with me this year?
Maybe. I might do that.
You're invited.
I don't know if I can keep up. All right. Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you.